plunger in there. That's
All
what
right, start again, because this is your manual.
The PSJ is the type pump. It's a 6A. And that 100B, that's the diameter of those plungers in millimeters.
Okay.
That's a 10 millimeter plunger. The 8564 is actually the specific pump model. The 8423 is the same as that one right there.
Okay. What's all this?
This is the Mack numbers. That's the Mack number, and that's the American Bosch number. And this is what these pumps are meant to go on. This one is an END 673C.
And you're saying, what was you saying? There's something we could cover or something we could take off, maybe?
Well, the only thing on this pump to take off is this cover right here.
That's that.
And this cover right here.
That's that cover right there, and that cover
there.
right there. It's the only way we can, without taking the pump off.
Right.
Because if, like we were talking before,
right here is the governor in it.
Yeah.
This thing goes back and forth, slides back and forth,
right.
And that's this needle. That's probably it right there. This is the head on it right here.
Yeah.
It turns like this, or like that. It runs one way or the other. Plus, this needle goes up and down, and that needle going up and down is what regulates the amount of fuel going to each one of these.
Right. And this governor, these are governor weights right here.
Yeah.
And this is a cup. This is a tapered cup. And when those weights go out, that cup goes forward.
It moves back and forth.
And that is directly tied to this linkage right here. And when you pull that cup forward, those go out.
This linkage here is overriding the governor.
Right. It's pulling the governor open and letting these weights sling wider, which puts more fuel through it.
Yeah.
See, I think that's our problem right there. I think that whatever's going on, this linkage right here is not allowing that to slide back and forth.
Right. This right here is your actual governor. See, it's got weights too. One way or the other. I don't know which one is the governor. One is controlling the throttle on the engine, the amount of fuel, and the other one is the governing the engine. You got two. You got these, and you got this one. This one comes in here and goes in there too.
Yeah. Well, we're shade tree. We'll beat and bang and round off some bolts and figure something out.
Yeah.
But no, I think we'll figure it out. I really think the more we run it, either if this is the governor or this is the governor, whichever one. I'm thinking that's the governor, because you got two governors probably, but that right there, those weights go in this tapered cone, and then that tapered cone moves in and out with the throttle linkage right here.
As those weights go in and out like that, the further out they go,
the more fuel it's dumping.
Well, they're cutting back the fuel and stopping it at a certain point as they come out.
Well, that would be contradictory to the lever, because because I'm saying that cup is right here, and the weights are this way, and when you pull it out, the governor opens up. I don't know. That's just the way I envisioned it.
I don't really know. Without taking apart the pump and looking at it to see, I really don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what lifts this. What raises this up in here? I can explain to you on those inlines. They have individual. Each cylinder has an individual sleeve or a barrel and a plunger for it.
Kind of like a cam on pushing a valve up and down in a way. Yeah.
That lifter is what's opening that, causing pressure on that plunger to go up. And let me show you here. I'll probably draw it here. here's your
Now this
On
is
your
on
pump.
those inline inline pumps,
Yeah,
lakes outside.
right. There's a groove cut around these things at an angle, or fuel can come up in here. There's a port inside the pump. Not sure whether it goes straight out or down, but it doesn't really matter. You got your plunger right here. This is the barrel here. Draw this like this. This is going to your injector line. Something like that. Okay, right. Well, I should have come on down in here. This is open right in here to this.
Mm-hmm.
As that plunger comes up, port closing is right there.
So whatever's on top of it's trapped,
It's trapped.
and
Compresses
it's got to
it,
be pushed up.
and it pushes to the injector, and the injector has a needle and with a spring on it. And when that pressure builds to a certain point, it pushes against the spring, pops the needle up, and then it sprays.
Right.
It actually sprays 4 ways. And then when the pressure goes down, the spring overcomes the pressure because it went down, the needle closes back.
Right.
Now that's on the inline pump.
Yeah.
These have a rack on them down here. There's a clamp on there. And around about half of this, there are teeth. And all of them line up down through here. There's a rack, like a rack and pinion.
Uh-huh.
Rack goes in and out, and that's how you get your throttle. It turns these things.
Okay, so that limits the amount of fuel that can get trapped.
Yeah, yeah. This is your timing point on it.
Yeah.
That's port closure right there. If it was down here or down there further, the pump, your mechanical pump, puts fuel up in here, right to there. While this is down, the fuel runs in there and fills that chamber up in there. Then it comes back up. When you open the rack, that plunger down here is lifting this up and down all the time.
Yeah.
As the cam lobe comes around, it gets on the high part of the cam, it pushes that up
Right.
and compresses it to the thing. This right here has something to do with it too. This throttles, this determines how much fuel it puts into there by this rack right here moving back and forth.
Well, does that plunger twist?
Yes, it
Because
does.
if it does
That's
twist,
its port right there.
okay, if it twists and it's on a thread, it would change the amount of fuel that could get trapped.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's
So
basically it.
basically, the piston has a spiral thread, one cut thread.
It's just a groove up the side
So
of it.
when it's turned, it's either firing right here or it's firing up here, depending on where that groove is with the inlet
Yeah,
port.
yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
All of them move in time with one another. They say you don't want to mess with these. Loosen that clamp on it. It's 2 piece. You got little ears on it, and the screw goes through here and one on the other side. Or maybe it's just split on one side and it's got a screw in it. Tighten
Kind
down on
of
it.
spreads out a little bit, yeah.
But now this one here is a little different. It's got there's a needle that comes down here. Well, not a needle, but a plunger, just like that. But I don't know exactly how it works, but it's rotating. There's a hole in it, and that thing's rotating, and it goes up and works up and down to regulate the amount of fuel going up in there. That right there, when it lines up with one of those, it'll shoot fuel through this hole right here, out of this hole into them,
So it's kind of like a distributor.
kind of like a distributor.
Instead of fire coming out of it, fuel's coming out of it.
Yeah. Get 6 of them. Right in here is this little shaft sticking up here. And when that hole in it, let's just say the hole's here, and it's right on this one, it's got it compressed. And when that rotates around and goes like for this one here, then out comes the fuel to that injector. Once you time one, you time number one, the rest of them are in time. This one here is 20, this pump is 28 degrees port closure.
Okay.
And that's that point right there. When you set that mark down there on that, they say it's either on the damper on the engine or down on the flywheel. You have to take a plate on there and look up in there. There's a pointer. But you set that to 28 degrees and then you turn that pump. This is for an inline. I'm not sure about this pump. But you hook, let's say you got a pump here. And here's all your, this is the inline.
Okay.
This is number one right here, and they'll have a plug right there at that number one. You hook a air hose to that. Get about 10 and put a regulator on it and get about 10 to 15 pounds of air going through there. You take this injector line off, take the holder out, you take the delivery valve and spring out of there. You hook a hose to here, you go over here to a jar.
A bubble jar.
Yeah. You come down here like that.
Yeah.
You vent this, cap on it, or just leave it open, whatever. And you let air flow through it. You get it on top dead center. And then you back it back around, get slack out of it. You go back past this 28 degree mark. Then you come forward with it. When you quit seeing air bubbles coming out right here, you're at port closure right there. This plunger is right past this point right here.
Right.
It's compressed right there.
So it's starting its compression. That's
That's the beginning of its injection.
port closure, that's what they call it.
Yeah.
And then it's timed.
It's time when it's like that.
So how do you adjust the timing?
Okay, the way I understand on those pumps, they don't have a keyway out here at the camshaft. There's no keyway in there. There's just a tapered shaft, and there's a nut on it. And you turn this shaft right
Till
here.
you get that.
Till you get this right here.
Port closure.
Port closure.
At 28 degrees.
At 28 degrees.
And then that gear is staying in time with the crank.
It's meshed with the others.
So you're just spinning that shaft
Right.
until you get this timed.
Right.
It's kind of like a distributor in a regular gas car, except the distributor gear is adjustable, and you can
You can work this way, but you can't these pumps. The holes aren't slotted.
But the gear on the end of a distributor is set. It's where it's going to be. You got to pick it up, turn it, put it back down.
Yeah.
But this way, this gear,
if you don't have enough movement to go this way, you can
Right.
pick it up, and move it a tooth.
you
or
can
two.
move one tooth one way, one tooth
Right.
left, just by the top.
Right.
But on this one, you can't move this, so you have to move the gear. Or
Move the gear on this tapered shaft on the.
so we're not going to move the gear because we need to hold 28 degrees on
Right.
the crank. So what we're going to do is move the shaft
on the gear.
and get it timed that way in
On the
front.
inline pump.
On the inline pumps.
But this one here, from what I've seen of the pictures that I've looked at, this right here has a keyway in that tapered shaft. So to change it, I think you change that coupling in there. I don't know how best to draw it. Here's this one here is timed down. Okay, you got another one that couples to that, and there, right here, and right here. The other half of that coupling is tabs, ears, whatever you want to call
It's a
it.
Lovejoy coupling technically.
It's not a Lovejoy with that rubber.
Yeah. but
spider in there.
it's you've got opposing ears.
Yeah,
This
the ears on that one there will fit in here. The male, this is like, that one's got a female part, but these male
it
part of the tabs go in.
Yeah, you can actually get that 180 degrees out technically, if the ears are not odd. One odd ear
That's
that
what
makes
I'm
it
wondering,
like,
if it's not one better than the other. The
Yeah.
one guy said you can't get the pumpkin wrong. It can only go in one way.
right. So there must be one ear that's fat or triangle or round, and there's a female side. So kind of like
That's what I'm thinking, but I've never had one apart.
kind of like plugging an electrical plug in a wall. You can
Yeah.
only stick it in one way.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. Well,
But, you know, if somebody has monkeyed with that and changed it, and I don't think you have, because this is all, it's been this way a long time. I mean, there's dirt and grease on everything. I don't think anybody's had the pump off. They've changed the time on it, so it should be in time
see, I still believe somebody put this wire
to keep it from coming back down too far and down.
because the pump is so weak. I think the pump is weak.
You actually can feel when that engine revs up and you shoot it with either. You can feel the governor or something pulling on that throttle shaft.
I was sitting there running at a higher RPM. This thing was climbing.
Yeah.
And see, that's what I'm saying. In that one picture, you've got them counterweights right here,
Yeah.
and you got a cone this way, and it's sitting there trying to sling them weights out, and that cone is keeping them weights together.
Yeah.
And then when you pull this back, that cone comes out, let the weights come out further, which allows this to stroke deeper and make a more fuel go to the thing. I think that's the way it goes. That's the way I picture it. But hey, some of these guys on this that's gonna watch this are going, no man, we'd like to hear some comments.
I bet there's not many who's gonna watch this that has any experience with this PSJ pump, because this has been out of. This is an old pump that's been gone for a long time. Not many trucks have these on them anymore. There's a PSJ and a PSM, they're both very similar. But
Well, the picture I saw had that big old timing. You call it a timing thing. It's
Yeah, it's called
this
a
big,
it's a
and this
TME
is all.
timing adapter.
Yeah.
But this one doesn't have that. You actually have a window in that TME adapter that you look down in there, and you can see a pointer and a mark that you line up. And that's where you want to set it with it, whatever the engine times for. See, this one times at 28 degrees. Right there. You got to bring it to top dead center on this front one. Then you back it up past the 28 degree mark.
Injection running, timing 28. I can't read that, but TC is top center. Okay.
That should be 28 degrees before top center.
I think that's what it says.
It should say BTC.
BFORE before.
Yeah.
It actually spells it out right there.
Yeah.
Before TC.
But you go
So-
back past that mark on the flywheel, and then you take the slack out of it, and then you come back clockwise again. Pull the slacks out, slack out of the gears and everything.
Because you want it on its pull stroke. To
Yeah.
do that, you got to take
wanna
the
sneak
slack out of it,
You
pull
wanna
it back.
sneak up on that 28
You know,
degree
sneak up on sneak up. You don't want just a tiny bit of half a degree of timing to be in that slack, then you'd be off time. Yeah.
The service manual, I haven't read the whole thing, but the service manual pretty much explains how this pump right here meters the amount of fuel going through. It explains about those weights and everything, how it pushes on that, the part it runs against in there to make it stop up again, depending on what position you got the throttle in.
All right. Well,
Well, the way the book says, the governor doesn't doesn't work with the throttle, and the throttle doesn't work with the governor. They totally are different.
I'm gonna fire her up one more time. Let's see if we can get her to sit there. We had her idling there, and I kinda messed her around. Give her a little, got this handy dandy switch, y'all see it. It kinda just worked out right yet. Got the AutoZone $55 Holly plus tax.
AutoZone special.
And it says for gas is diesel, and I think it said 3 to 7 PSI. So what we've done is added this to that to bypass this pickup pump, just because we feel like it's not putting up enough pressure. So this is at least getting 7. You said it changed, just like it picked up here there, like it finally pressured up.
Now it's turning through the car back on the return.
Yeah.
Back to the tank.
So that may actually help us.
The book says it will run, the engine will run fine even as low as 3 PSI.
But we're trying to put, right now, we're putting 3 to 7 or something. So we should have plenty.
When they're new, they run maybe 15 PSI.
Yeah.
Ideally,
Ideally,
up to snuff.
yeah.
But it's probably, they say you can, that pressure will go as low as 3 PSI.
Maybe you want to look at the gauges again while I keep her running. I know you was up there when I let her run down.
I don't think so. I saw what the oil pressure was. That was the main thing I was looking for. I want to know whether that oil pressure was out there, but nothing, no oil pressure on it. It is building there, but it's going out.
It's your turn to play with it.
It doesn't make any difference.
I'm thinking if we could just get that throttle right there. Actually, I want to play with that wire just a little bit where maybe we can get this.
I wouldn't say it's too much, but we need to throttle back down.
Well, we can always grab it. I got it too. But it did seem like it did run just a tad bit better when I pushed that all the way forward. So kill the fuel and
Our things is sprayed.
here we go, guys. Y'all ready? We're gonna run her some more. Ready? gonna have to, every chance we get her fired up, let her run till she gets hot, and then shut her down.
I need to get those. I need to put those metal lines back on here, put it here, and just put a loop of heater hose around on another tank. So we run it longer. There's some water in it.
But I think, like you said, that has a, let me get these people a view of what we're looking at. This thing has a little spring catch right here. And as it's running, it's trying to pull the throttle forward because those weights are trying to expand inside that cup. And I'm having to I actually tied that wire a little tighter, pulled the throttle back just a little bit, and she ran longer than she's ever run. Of course, it's got a keel back here. We undone it, and that's your keel, but I've got it kind of pinned forward because it seems to help it. Yeah, I think we're going to just continue. We don't have any water in it, but Joe's going to get the radiator hoses over here, or there. I'm going to adjust that brightness a little bit bright. He's got those cut off. We're going to just loop them and put some water in it so that we can keep it running. We're going to have to get outside because this smoke's killing us, but we could run it for 20-30 minutes. And I don't know if you noticed, the throttle started actually responding. It's never responded so far, and it's every time we run it, the throttle seems to start a little bit of response. So yeah, I think we're headed in the right direction. We'll get her to where we can actually use the pedal and throttle it up and down, and get some water in it. We may be getting closer to get this thing outside where we can get the cab off of it. Actually drive it. We got to get a video of Uncle Joe driving this big beast. The one stack Mack with a window in the back.
I need some gear shifting practice on it before I go.
That's going to be funny. I'm going to have to set the camera up in there while you're shifting. Well, let me rephrase that. While you're grinding.
Yeah, that's going to be a laugh.
Woo! My eyes are burning. I got to get out. So I got the pump off.